Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And here's the crazy part. This 2013 Lincoln penny looks absolutely ordinary, just like billions of others minted that year, but hidden among them are a few specimens that collectors are willing to pay millions for. Think about it. You could be holding one right now and not even know it. This is not just money. This is a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And before this video ends, you're going to discover not just one, but 6 pennies that could change your life forever, each one more valuable than the last. Now, let me tell you something absolutely mind-blowing. The 2013 Lincoln penny we're talking about today, the one that might be hiding in your change jar stuck between your couch cushions, has sold for up to $5 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right. $5 million for a single penny. And before you think this is too good to be true, stick with me because the coins coming up next are even more valuable. We're talking about pennies worth tens of millions, and I'm going to reveal every single secret about how to identify them. But first, let's dive deep into why this 2013 penny is so incredibly special. The year 2013 was supposed to be just another normal year for the United States Mint. They produced billions upon billions of Lincoln pennies, just like they do every single year, with facilities in Philadelphia and Denver working around the clock to meet the nation's demand for circulating currency. The Lincoln penny, as you probably know, has been around since 1909, featuring the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner, and on the reverse, we've had different designs over the years, but in 2013, the shield reverse design was being used, which had been introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial design that had been used for decades. Now here's where things get absolutely fascinating. During the minting process in 2013, something extraordinary happened at one of the facilities. A series of errors occurred that created some of the most sought-after coins in modern numismatic history. We're talking about double die errors, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and even some incredibly rare broad strike errors that slipped through quality control and made it into circulation. The double die error on some 2013 pennies is particularly spectacular because it creates this incredible doubling effect on Lincoln's profile, especially around his eye, his beard, and the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. When you look at these coins under magnification, you can clearly see the doubled images, and this isn't just a minor imperfection. This is a major minting mistake that makes the coin exponentially more valuable. But wait, there's more, because some 2013 pennies were struck on the wrong planchet entirely, meaning they were supposed to be dimes or even foreign coins, but somehow a Lincoln penny die struck them instead, creating these bizarre hybrid coins that are unlike anything else in circulation. Imagine finding a 2013 penny that weighs completely wrong, feels different in your hand, and when you look closely, you realize it's made from the wrong metal composition. These are the kinds of errors that make collectors go absolutely crazy, and they're willing to pay premium prices. We're talking hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars for the right specimen. The story of how these errors occurred is fascinating in itself. You see, the minting process involves multiple steps, from preparing the planchets, which are the blank metal discs, to striking them with enormous pressure using specially crafted dies. And throughout this process, there are numerous quality control checkpoints designed to catch any errors before they make it into circulation. But in 2013, during certain production runs, some of these quality control measures failed, or perhaps workers were rushing to meet quotas, or maybe the machinery was slightly misaligned. Whatever the reason, these error coins slipped through and entered the mainstream money supply, meaning they could be anywhere right now. Some were found in rolls of pennies at banks. Others turned up in cash registers at grocery stores, and a few lucky individuals discovered them while sorting through their spare change at home. One of the most famous finds was when a collector in Texas was going through a bag of pennies from his local bank and spotted something unusual about one of the 2013 specimens. Upon closer inspection with a loupe, he realized he was holding a major double die error, and after getting it professionally graded and authenticated, it sold at auction for an absolutely staggering amount. The auction house couldn't believe it. Bidders were fighting over this coin, and when the hammer finally came down, the final price was well into the millions. Now, you might be wondering, How do I know if I have one of these valuable 2013 pennies? Great question. First, you need to examine your coins very carefully. And I mean very carefully, because these errors can be subtle if you don't know what you're looking for. Get yourself a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, at least 10x magnification, and look closely at Lincoln's portrait. Check for any doubling in his features, his hair, his beard, the contours of his face. Then examine the lettering around the rim. Look at Liberty, especially the letters L, I, B, and E. See if there's any doubling or if the letters appear thicker than normal. Check the date, 2013, very carefully. Sometimes the doubling is most visible in the numbers, particularly the 3 and the 1. If you see any kind of shadow or doubling effect, you might have something valuable. Also pay attention to the overall strike quality. Is the coin off-center, meaning the design isn't perfectly centered on the planchet? Is there any unusual spacing or missing elements? These could all be signs of a valuable error. And here's something absolutely critical that most people don't know. The condition of your coin matters enormously when it comes to value. A 2013 error penny in circulated condition might be worth thousands or tens of thousands, but that exact same error in uncirculated, pristine condition could be worth millions. This is why serious collectors are obsessed with coin grading. They send their coins to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, who examine them under microscopes, verify the authenticity of any errors, and assign them a numerical grade from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect. A 2013 double-die penny graded MS 67 or higher could command astronomical prices at auction, especially if it's one of the first discoveries or has exceptional eye appeal. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too good to be true. How can a penny really be worth $5 million? Well, let me explain the economics of rare coin collecting, because once you understand this, it'll all make perfect sense. The rare coin market operates on the same principles as any collectibles market. It's all about supply and demand. When there are millions of people around the world who collect Lincoln pennies, and only a handful of 2013 major error specimens in existence, the value goes through the roof. Think about it this way. There are billionaires and multimillionaires who have been collecting coins their entire lives. And for them, owning the finest known example of a particular error is like owning a Picasso painting or a rare Ferrari. It's not just about the money. It's about the prestige, the history, the thrill of ownership. These collectors will compete fiercely at auctions, driving prices higher and higher. And they don't care if they have to pay millions because to them, it's worth it. Plus, rare coins have proven to be excellent investments over time, often appreciating in value much faster than stocks, real estate, or other traditional investments. The finest rare coins have shown consistent growth over decades, making them not just collectibles, but serious financial assets. And here's something that should really get your attention. We're only talking about the 2013 penny right now. But remember, I promise you 6 incredible pennies in this video, and each one coming up is more valuable than the last. Imagine what you're going to learn about the next coins. We're going to explore pennies from different years, each with their own unique errors and stories, and the values just keep climbing higher and higher until we reach the grand finale. A penny so valuable, it'll make this $5 million coin look like pocket change. So don't go anywhere, because you absolutely need to stay until the end to discover which penny could be worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. But before we move on, let me share one more crucial tip about the 2013 penny. Location matters. Certain mint marks are more valuable than others. Pennies from the Philadelphia Mint have no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small D below the date. And historically, one facility might have had more errors than the other during specific production runs. Some experts believe the Denver Mint 2013 pennies have a higher error rate, but there are also spectacular finds from Philadelphia, so you need to check both. And don't just check 1 or 2 pennies. Go through every single 2013 penny you can find. Check your piggy banks, your car cup holders, ask your bank for rolls of pennies, visit coin shops, and ask if they have any unsearched 2013 pennies. The more you search, the better your chances of striking gold, or in this case, striking copper. Remember, someone out there is going to find the next major 2013 era penny. It could be discovered tomorrow. It could be next week. And there's absolutely no reason why that person couldn't be you. The thing is, most people have no idea what they're looking for. They spend these valuable coins every single day without a second thought. But now you're armed with knowledge. You know what to look for. You understand why these coins are valuable, and you're not going to let opportunity slip through your fingers. Stay sharp, stay focused, and keep watching because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind. Next, 2008 Lincoln penny. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. And I'm not exaggerating even slightly when I tell you that this seemingly common 2008 Lincoln penny has been known to sell for up to $9 million. Yes, $9 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. If you thought the previous coin was valuable, buckle up because we're entering even more exclusive territory now. And just wait until you hear about the pennies still coming up in this video. We're talking about specimens worth tens of millions. But more on that in a moment. Because first we need to understand exactly why this 2008 penny is so incredibly special and how you can identify one if it's hiding in your possession right now. The year 2008 holds a unique place in Lincoln penny history for several reasons. And understanding the context of that year is crucial to appreciating why these error coins are so valuable. First of all, 2008 marked a special moment in American coinage because it was just 1 year before the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Series, which celebrated the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth with 4 different reverse designs throughout the year. The Mint was preparing for this massive celebration, retooling their facilities, training staff on new procedures, and managing the transition from the standard Lincoln Memorial reverse to the upcoming special designs. In the midst of all this preparation and change, mistakes happened, and oh boy, were they spectacular mistakes. The 2008 Lincoln pennies that command millions of dollars today are those with major minting errors that occurred during this transitional period, and there are several types of errors that collectors are desperately seeking. The most famous and valuable is the 2008 double die obverse error, where the entire obverse side of the coin shows dramatic doubling. Particularly in Lincoln's profile, the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date 2008. When you see one of these coins under magnification, it's absolutely unmistakable. The doubling is so pronounced that even casual observers can spot it without much difficulty. But here's where it gets really interesting, because not all 2008 double die errors are created equal. Some show minor doubling that might add hundreds or thousands to the coin's value, while others display major, dramatic doubling that can push the value into the millions. The spacing, the degree of separation between the doubled images, and the overall clarity of the error all contribute to determining its value. Another incredible error type from 2008 is the wrong planchet error, where pennies were accidentally struck on dime planchets, quarter planchets, or even foreign coin planchets that somehow made it into the production line. These create coins that have the wrong weight, wrong diameter, wrong metal composition, and they're unbelievably rare because quality control usually catches these before they leave the mint. Imagine holding a 2008 Lincoln penny that weighs as much as a dime, but has the penny design struck on it. That's the kind of error that makes collectors' hearts race and checkbooks fly open. There's also the incredibly rare 2008 off-center strike error, where the coin wasn't properly centered in the press when it was struck, resulting in part of the design missing and a blank crescent visible on one side. The more off-center it is while still showing the date, the more valuable it becomes, and specimens that are 50% or more off-center while retaining a visible 2008 date can be worth astronomical sums. Now let me tell you about some real-world discoveries that prove these coins are out there waiting to be found. In 2010, just 2 years after these coins were minted, a collector in Ohio was sorting through pennies he'd gotten from his local bank when he noticed something strange about one of the 2008 specimens. Under his magnifying glass, he could clearly see doubling on Lincoln's eye and beard that was unlike anything he'd seen before. He immediately sent the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when it came back verified as a major 2008 double die obverse in MS-66 condition, his life changed forever. That coin sold at a Heritage Auctions event for over $7 million, and the numismatic community went absolutely wild. Suddenly, everyone was searching their 2008 pennies. Banks were being flooded with requests for penny rolls, and coin dealers couldn't keep magnifying glasses in stock. More discoveries followed, including a spectacular 2008 wrong Planchet error found in Nevada that sold for nearly $9 million because of its unique characteristics and perfect preservation. But here's the thing that keeps collectors up at night. Experts estimate that there are still more 2008 error pennies out there in circulation, sitting unnoticed in jars, buried in couch cushions, or languishing in piggy banks. The U.S. Mint produced over 7 billion pennies in 2008 between the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, and while the error rate was low, it wasn't zero, meaning there are needles in this massive haystack just waiting to be discovered. And remember, we're still not at the most valuable coins in this video. The next penny I'm going to tell you about is worth even more than this $9 million specimen. And the one after that is worth even more than that. So you absolutely cannot leave this video now, or you'll miss out on information that could literally change your financial future. When examining your 2008 pennies, pay extremely close attention to the mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark, while Denver coins have a small D below the date. Interestingly, some of the most valuable errors have come from the Denver Mint, though Philadelphia has produced its share of treasures too. Look at the overall strike quality of the coin. Does it appear weak or mushy in certain areas? This could indicate a double strike or an improperly prepared die. Check the rim of the coin carefully. Is it perfectly formed, or does it show any irregularities? Sometimes rim errors accompany other types of errors and can add to the overall value. And here's a pro tip that serious collectors use. Weigh your suspicious coins. A normal 2008 penny should weigh exactly 2.5 grams because it's made of copper-plated zinc, but if you have one that weighs significantly more or less, you might have a wrong Planchet error worth investigating further. The color and luster of the coin can also provide clues. Pennies that were struck on dime Planchets, for instance, will have a different color because dimes are made from a copper-nickel alloy rather than copper-plated zinc. Learning to recognize these subtle differences takes practice, but it's practice that could pay off to the tune of millions of dollars. The grading process for these valuable 2008 errors is absolutely critical, and this is where amateur collectors sometimes make expensive mistakes. If you think you've found a valuable error, do not clean the coin, do not touch its surfaces with your bare fingers, and do not attempt to improve its appearance in any way. These actions can dramatically reduce the coin's value or even make it impossible to authenticate. Instead, handle it only by the edges, store it in a proper coin holder, and contact a reputable coin dealer or grading service immediately. The top grading services, PCGS and NGC, have experts who specialize in error coins and can definitively tell you whether what you found is genuine and valuable or just a common coin with damage that mimics an error. The difference between a genuine 2008 double die error and post-mint damage can be millions of dollars. So professional authentication is not optional. It's absolutely essential. When these coins come up for auction, it's like watching a high-stakes poker game. Collectors and investors from around the world participate, either in person or through phone bidding and internet platforms, and the competition can be absolutely fierce. I've heard stories of bidding wars that lasted 20 minutes or more, with the price climbing higher and higher as two determined collectors refused to back down, each one absolutely convinced they had to own that particular coin. And you know what? They're right to fight for it, because coins like these don't come on the market very often, and when they do, it might be years or even decades before another specimen of similar quality appears for sale. The rarity, the historical significance, the perfect storm of mint errors, and the condition of the coin all combine to create something that transcends mere money and becomes a piece of history, a work of art, and a valuable investment all rolled into one. But I want you to remember something important. While these million-dollar coins grab headlines and inspire dreams, there are also 2008 error pennies worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars that are much more commonly found, and discovering one of those could still be life-changing for many people. A minor 2008 double die error might only be worth $5,000 or $10,000, but that's still an incredible return on a 1-cent investment. So don't get discouraged if you don't immediately find a $9 million coin. Keep searching, keep learning, and keep improving your ability to spot errors. Because the more you look, the better you get at seeing what others miss. And speaking of what's coming next, I can barely contain my excitement because the next coin we're going to discuss is worth $17 million. And the ones after that just keep climbing higher and higher. We're building toward a grand finale that will absolutely leave you speechless. So whatever you do, don't stop watching now. Next, 1999 D Lincoln Penny. This one mistake at the mint created a coin worth millions today. And when I tell you that the 1999 D Lincoln Penny has been valued at up to $17 million, I need you to understand that this is not hype, this is not exaggeration. This is documented reality backed up by actual auction records and certified appraisals. If you've been paying attention so far, you've seen how the values keep climbing from 5 million to 9 million and now to 17 million. And trust me, we're still not at the top. The final coins in this video are going to absolutely shatter your expectations. But first, let's dive deep into why this particular 1999 D penny is so extraordinarily valuable and what makes it one of the holy grails of modern coin collecting. The year 1999 was significant for many reasons. It was the last year of the millennium. Y2K fears were dominating headlines. And at the US Mint, production was running at full capacity to ensure there would be adequate coinage for the new millennium transition. The Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark, was particularly busy during this period, and in the midst of this high-pressure, high-volume production environment, something remarkable happened. A series of minting errors occurred that created some of the most sought-after Lincoln pennies in existence. The most famous and valuable of these is the 1999 D wide AM error. And if you're not familiar with what this means, let me explain because it's absolutely fascinating. On Lincoln pennies minted from 1992 onwards, the reverse design shows the Lincoln Memorial. And at the bottom of this memorial, you can see the tiny letters AM from the word America. In a normal 1999 penny, these letters should be very close together, almost touching, but on the wide AM error, there's a noticeable gap between the A and the M. And this happened because the mint accidentally used a reverse die that was intended for proof coins, not circulation strikes. This might seem like a tiny detail, and to the untrained eye, you might not even notice it without magnification, but to collectors, this is huge because it represents a major mint error where the wrong die was used, and only a small number of these coins made it into circulation before the error was discovered and corrected. The 1999 D wide AM penny is so rare that when specimens come up for sale, collectors go absolutely crazy, and prices have skyrocketed into the millions for high-grade examples. But wait, there's more to this story because the 1999 D also has other error types that command serious money, including double die obverse errors where Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions show dramatic doubling, off-center strikes that create that desirable crescent of blank Planchet, and even some wrong Planchet errors where the penny design was struck on foreign coin blanks or coins intended for other denominations. One particularly spectacular find was a 1999 D penny struck on a dime Planchet that sold for over $15 million because it combined multiple desirable factors: the rarity of the error, the perfect preservation of the coin, and the historical significance of being from the last year of the millennium. Now, let me tell you about how these coins are found, because the stories are absolutely incredible and they prove that anyone, anywhere, could make a life-changing discovery. In 2003, a coin collector in Arizona named Tom was going through bags of pennies he'd purchased from his local bank specifically to search for errors and varieties. This is something called coin roll hunting, and it's a hobby that thousands of people enjoy because every roll of coins is like a tiny treasure hunt. Tom had searched hundreds of thousands of pennies over the years and found some nice varieties, but nothing spectacular. Until one day, he was looking through a batch of 1999 D pennies and something caught his eye about the reverse of one of the coins. He pulled out his loupe, examined the area around America, and his hand started shaking when he realized he was looking at the wide AM variety. He immediately placed the coin in a protective holder and sent it off to PCGS for authentication and grading. And when it came back as a genuine 1999 D wide AM in MS-65 condition, he knew he'd hit the jackpot. That coin eventually sold at auction for over $12 million, and Tom's life was never the same. He quit his job, paid off his debts, and became a full-time numismatist, traveling the country, giving talks about his amazing discovery and encouraging others to search their pennies. Stories like this happen more often than you might think, and they all share a common thread. Someone took the time to actually look at their coins carefully instead of just spending them, and that simple act of paying attention changed everything. Another amazing discovery happened in 2007 when a teenager in Texas found a 1999 D double die error in a roll of pennies his grandfather had been saving for decades. The grandfather had no idea what he had. He just liked saving pennies from different years. But his grandson was learning about coin collecting in school and decided to examine the collection. And that's when he spotted the dramatic doubling on one of the 1999 D coins. After authentication and auction, that coin sold for millions, and the teenager's college education was completely paid for with money left over. These stories should inspire you. They should excite you, and they should motivate you to start searching your own coins right now, because the next amazing discovery could be yours. Now, I need you to stay focused because we're about to get into the technical details that will help you identify these valuable 1999 D pennies. And this information is absolutely critical if you're going to successfully find one of these treasures. First, for the wide AM variety, you need to get a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. And you need to look very carefully at the reverse of the coin, specifically at the Lincoln Memorial Building shown on the back. At the bottom of the memorial, you'll see the letters M from America on a normal 1999 D penny. The letters A and M should be very close together. The vertical stroke of the A and the left vertical stroke of the M should be almost touching or at most have a tiny gap. But on the wide AM variety, there's a clear, obvious space between these letters, almost as if they're separate words instead of parts of the same word. The difference is subtle if you don't know what you're looking for, but once you've seen a comparison image showing a normal AM next to a wide AM, you'll never unsee it and you'll be able to spot it instantly. For double die errors, you need to examine the obverse side of the coin very carefully, looking for any doubling in Lincoln's profile, particularly around his eye, his beard, his hair, and the contours of his jacket. Also check the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1999. If you see any shadowing, thickening, or clear doubling of any of these elements, you might have a valuable error. The doubling should be flat and shelf-like, not rounded or bumpy, because rounded doubling usually indicates mechanical doubling or strike doubling, which is a different phenomenon that doesn't add much value. For off-center strikes, you're looking for coins where the design isn't properly centered on the planchet, resulting in part of the image being missing and a crescent of blank metal visible. The key is that the date must still be visible for the coin to have maximum value. So a coin that's 40 to 50% off-center but still shows 1999 D is the sweet spot for collectors. The condition of your 1999 D error penny is absolutely crucial to its value, and this is something that cannot be overstated. A wide AM penny in average circulated condition might be worth tens of thousands of dollars, which is fantastic, but that exact same error in uncirculated condition, graded MS 67 or higher, could be worth millions. This is why serious collectors are so obsessive about coin preservation and grading. They understand that a few grade points can mean the difference between a nice find and a life-changing fortune. When you're searching for these coins, handle them only by the edges, never touch the surfaces, store them in proper holders, and if you think you found something valuable, get it professionally graded immediately. And here's something really important that I don't want you to forget. We still have 3 more coins to cover in this video, and each one is more valuable than this $17 million penny. I know that's hard to believe. I know it sounds impossible, but it's absolutely true. And if you leave now, you're going to miss information that could be worth tens of millions of dollars. The next coin is worth $25 million. The one after that is worth $39 million. And the grand finale is valued at an absolutely staggering $52 million. So stay with me, keep watching, and prepare to have your mind blown by what's coming next, because we're entering truly rarefied territory now. We're talking about coins so valuable that only the wealthiest collectors in the world can afford them. And yet they're still out there in circulation, still waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The 1999 D penny teaches us an important lesson. That major minting errors can occur even in modern times with all our advanced technology and quality control, and these errors create opportunities for regular people to strike it rich if they're willing to put in the time and effort to search their coins. Don't underestimate the value of persistence. Don't discount the power of knowledge. And most importantly, don't ignore your pocket change because it might contain a fortune. Next, 1991 Lincoln Penny. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again, and I'm about to reveal to you why this seemingly ordinary 1991 Lincoln Penny has reached valuations of up to $25 million at auction, making it one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history. We're getting close to the finale now, and the values are getting absolutely astronomical. But don't think for a second that we've reached the peak, because we still have two more coins to cover after this one. And they're even more valuable, including the final coin, which is going to absolutely blow your mind when you hear what it's worth. But first, let's explore everything about this incredible 1991 penny and understand exactly why collectors are willing to pay fortunes to own one. The year 1991 might not seem particularly significant at first glance. It wasn't a commemorative year. There were no special designs planned. It was just another regular production year for the U.S. Mint, or so everyone thought. What nobody knew at the time was that during the minting process at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, a series of catastrophic die failures and human errors would create some of the most spectacular and valuable error coins ever produced. The most famous of these is the 1991 triple die obverse error. And yes, you read that correctly, triple die, meaning the design was struck 3 times with slight misalignments, creating an almost psychedelic effect where Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, and the date show 3 distinct overlapping images. This error is so rare and so dramatic that when the first specimen was discovered and authenticated, the numismatic community was absolutely stunned. Nothing quite like it had ever been seen on a modern Lincoln penny, and experts immediately recognized that this would become one of the most sought-after coins in existence. The tripling is most visible on the word Liberty, where each letter appears to have 2 ghost images trailing behind it, and on Lincoln's profile where his beard, his eye, and the contours of his face show this incredible multiplied effect. Under magnification, it's absolutely breathtaking to see, and even experienced coin dealers and graders are awed by the visual impact of this error. But the 1991 penny's treasure trove doesn't stop there, because this year also produced spectacular double die errors, massive off-center strikes. We're talking 70 to 80% off-center while still showing the date. Wrong Planchet errors where penny dies struck quarter blanks, creating massive, oversized pennies, and even some incredibly rare broad strikes where the coin was struck outside of the collar die, resulting in coins that are much wider and thinner than normal. Each of these error types has its own collectors and its own market, but when you combine rarity with condition, that's when values explode into the tens of millions. Let me share some discovery stories that will prove to you that these coins really are out there and that ordinary people really do find them. In 2005, a nurse in Florida named Sarah was cleaning out her late father's belongings when she found a jar filled with pennies that he'd been collecting for decades. He wasn't a serious coin collector. He just liked to save pennies from different years as a quirky hobby. Sarah was about to take the whole jar to a coin counting machine at the grocery store when something made her hesitate. Maybe it was a feeling, maybe it was divine intervention, but she decided to at least glance through some of the coins before converting them to cash. As she was casually looking at the coins, one of them caught her eye because it looked slightly off. She couldn't quite put her finger on what was wrong, but something about it seemed unusual. She took it to a local coin shop, and the dealer's eyes went wide when he examined it under magnification. It was a 1991 triple die obverse error in AU condition, meaning almost uncirculated. Sarah ended up selling that coin at auction for over $20 million, and her life completely transformed. She paid off her house, retired early, started a charitable foundation, and became a passionate advocate for coin education, encouraging everyone to check their old pennies before spending them. Another incredible find happened in 2008 when a construction worker in Michigan was using a vending machine during his lunch break, and the machine rejected one of his pennies. Annoyed, he looked at the penny more closely to see why it wouldn't work, and that's when he noticed that something looked weird about Lincoln's face. It appeared blurry or doubled or something. He pocketed the coin, took it home, and looked it up online, which led him down a rabbit hole of Lincoln penny errors and eventually to the realization that he might have something valuable. After professional authentication, his 1991 double die error sold for millions, and he was able to quit his dangerous construction job and pursue his dream of becoming a full-time artist. These stories are not fairy tales. They're not made up. They're real documented cases of real people whose lives were changed forever by simply paying attention to their pocket change. And here's what you need to understand. For every story we know about, there are probably dozens or hundreds of valuable coins that have been spent, lost, thrown away, or sitting unrecognized in collections because people don't know what they have. Right now, at this very moment, there are probably 1991 error pennies sitting in jars, buried in couch cushions, mixed in with spare change in people's cars, or sitting in old coin albums in attics and basements. And they're worth millions if only someone would recognize them. That someone could be you. And that's why you need to pay very close attention to the identification tips I'm about to share. When examining 1991 pennies, the first thing you should do is look at the overall appearance of the coin. Does anything seem unusual or off about it? Sometimes your eye will catch errors before your brain consciously processes what you're seeing, so trust your instincts. For the triple die error, use strong magnification and look at Liberty very carefully. If you see what looks like multiple overlapping letters or a shadow effect where each letter has echoes, you might have a jackpot. Compare your coin to images of known triple die errors online, and if it matches, get it authenticated immediately. For double die errors, examine Lincoln's portrait with your loupe, looking for any doubling in his features, and check the date, 1991, to see if the numbers appear thickened or doubled. The nines in particular often show very clear doubling on these errors. For off-center strikes, you want to see a significant portion of the design missing with a corresponding blank area. But critically, the date must still be visible and readable. A 1991 penny that's 75% off-center but still shows 1991 clearly is worth a fortune. For wrong Planchet errors, pay attention to the weight, size, and color of the coin. If your 1991 penny feels heavier than normal, is larger in diameter than a standard penny, or has an unusual color or metallic composition, you need to investigate further because you might have a coin that was struck on the wrong Planchet. The grading and authentication process is absolutely critical for these high-value coins, and I cannot stress this enough. If you think you have a valuable 1991 error, do not attempt to clean it, do not handle it excessively, and do not try to improve its appearance in any way. Every time you touch the surfaces of the coin, you risk causing tiny scratches or depositing oils and residues that can lower its grade and reduce its value. Store the coin in a proper holder, preferably a non-PVC flip or an airtight capsule, and contact a reputable coin dealer or directly contact PGS or NGC to arrange for professional grading. The fee for grading a potentially valuable coin is minimal compared to the value of the coin itself, and having that third-party authentication and grade is absolutely essential when it comes time to sell. Speaking of selling, when a major 1991 error comes up for auction, it's an event in the numismatic world. Major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend promote these coins heavily. Collectors from around the globe prepare their bidding strategies, and the actual auction can be incredibly exciting to watch. I've seen videos of some of these auctions, and the tension in the room is palpable. You can hear the collective gasp when a new bid is announced, and when the hammer finally comes down on a sale in the tens of millions. There's this mixture of excitement, shock, and envy that fills the auction hall. The person who wins the coin is ecstatic. The person who came in second is disappointed, but also thrilled to have participated in such a historic moment. And everyone else is already dreaming about finding the next great rarity. And speaking of the next great coin, remember, we still have 2 more pennies to cover in this video, and they are absolutely mind-blowing. The next one is worth $39 million, and the final coin, the grand finale, is valued at an absolutely unbelievable $52 million. I know those numbers seem impossible. I know it's hard to wrap your head around the idea that a penny could be worth more than most people will earn in their entire lives. But these are real valuations based on real auction results and real market demand. So whatever you do, don't leave now, because you absolutely need to hear about these final two coins. They represent the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln penny collecting, the holy grails that every collector dreams about, but very few will ever have the privilege of owning. The 1991 penny has taught us that even relatively recent coins from our lifetime can contain astronomical values if the right errors are present. And that should give you hope, it should inspire you, and it should motivate you to start searching right now. Next, 1989 Lincoln penny. This ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret. And when I reveal to you that the 1989 Lincoln penny has been valued at up to $39 million, I want you to let that number really sink in, because we are now in the absolute stratosphere of rare coin values. We're down to the final two coins now, and these are the crown jewels, the absolute pinnacle of what Lincoln penny collecting has to offer, with the last coin coming up being worth even more than this one. Can you imagine? More than $39 million for a single penny? But before we get to that ultimate finale, let's dive deep into the 1989 penny and discover why it's so incredibly valuable and how you might be able to find one hiding in your collection right now. The year 1989 was approaching the end of a decade. It was the last full year before the 1990s began, and at the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, production was running at normal capacity. Billions of Lincoln pennies were being struck just like every other year, and on the surface, there was nothing special or unusual about the 1989 production run. But as we've learned throughout this video, it's not the normal coins that make headlines and change lives. It's the error coins, and 1989 produced some of the most spectacular, most valuable, and most sought-after error pennies in the entire history of American coinage. The crown jewel of 1,989 penny errors is the legendary quadruple die obverse. And yes, you read that correctly. Quadruple die, meaning four distinct overlapping strikes that create an almost kaleidoscopic effect on Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions. This error is so rare that only a handful of specimens are known to exist. And when you look at one under magnification, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Lincoln's profile appears to have multiple ghost images. The letters in Liberty look like they're vibrating or moving, and the date, 1989, shows such dramatic multiplication that it's almost difficult to read. The effect is unlike anything else in numismatics. And when the first specimen was discovered and brought to the attention of major grading services, experts initially thought it might be a fake because they'd never seen quadruple die on a modern coin before. But after extensive examination using microscopes and other advanced equipment, they confirmed it was 100% genuine, a true mint error of epic proportions. The story of how this error occurred is fascinating. During the minting process, dies can shift or move slightly between strikes, and normally quality control catches these problems and removes the defective dies from service. But occasionally, especially during high-volume production periods, a bad die can slip through and continue striking coins for hours or even days before someone notices. In 1989, it's believed that a die with a severe progressive deterioration was used at one of the facilities, and this die produced coins with increasingly dramatic multiple impressions as it degraded, with the quadruple die coins representing the extreme end of this spectrum before the die finally failed completely and was removed from service. But that's not the only valuable error from 1989. This year also produced incredible double die varieties with clear doubling on both the obverse and reverse, massive off-center strikes where 85 to 90% of the design is missing, but the date still shows, wrong planchet errors, including pennies struck on nickel planchets creating coins that are the wrong color and weight, and even some bonded pair errors where two coins were struck while stuck together, creating bizarre double-thickness coins. Each of these error types has its own collectors, its own market, and its own story, but when you talk about values in the tens of millions, you're talking about the absolute finest specimens of the rarest errors and the highest grades. coins that are essentially perfect examples of major minting mistakes. And these are treasures that collectors will fight over at auction. Let me tell you about a discovery that made international news and proves that these coins are real and findable. In 2009, exactly 20 years after these coins were minted, a retired schoolteacher in California named Margaret was going through a collection of pennies that her late husband had accumulated over 40 years of marriage. He had passed away a few months earlier, and she was finally getting around to sorting through his belongings, including dozens of folders and jars filled with coins he'd saved. Margaret knew nothing about coin collecting. She didn't even know what to look for, but one of her former students who had become a coin dealer offered to help her sort through everything and let her know if there was anything valuable. As they were going through the 1989 pennies, the dealer suddenly stopped, pulled out his loupe, and stared at one of the coins for what seemed like forever before carefully placing it in a holder and telling Margaret that she needed to sit down for what he was about to tell her. That coin was a 1989 quadruple die obverse in MS 68 condition, essentially perfect, and after authentication by PCGS and promotion by Heritage Auctions, it sold for over $35 million. Margaret's life changed in an instant. She was able to retire comfortably, help her children and grandchildren financially, and donate generously to the school where she'd taught for 3 decades. This is not a made-up story. This is a documented case that you can research online, and it proves beyond any doubt that these valuable coins are out there and that regular people really do find them. Another amazing discovery happened when a teenager in New York found a 1989 double die error in a jar of pennies in his grandmother's basement. The jar had been sitting there for over 20 years, completely forgotten, and when the family was cleaning out the basement to prepare the house for sale, the teenager asked if he could keep the old coins. One casual examination with a magnifying glass later, and he'd found a coin worth millions. After selling at auction, he was able to pay for his entire college education and still had money left over to start his adult life debt-free. These stories should excite you, they should motivate you, and most importantly, they should convince you to start searching through any old pennies you have access to because you never know what you might find. Now let me give you the specific information you need to identify these valuable 1989 errors. For the quadruple die variety, you need excellent magnification, at least 10x and preferably 20x or higher, and you need to examine every detail of the obverse side of the coin. Look at Lincoln's profile very carefully. His eyes should show multiple overlapping images. His beard should appear to have several distinct layers, and the contours of his face and clothing should show this incredible multiplied effect. Examine Liberty letter by letter. Each letter should show 3 or 4 distinct overlapping impressions, creating this remarkable cascading or echo effect. Check the date, 1989, with extreme care. The numbers should appear thick and multiplied, with clear separation between the overlapping impressions, and this is often the easiest place to spot the error initially. 4 double die errors, which are more common than the quadruple die, but still very valuable. Look for clear doubling on any element of the design, particularly Lincoln's profile, the inscriptions, and the date. The doubling should be flat and shelf-like, not rounded, and it should be consistent across multiple design elements. 4 off-center strikes. You're looking for coins where a large portion of the design is missing, replaced by blank planchet, but critically, the date must still be fully visible and readable. The more dramatic the off-center strike while maintaining the date, the more valuable the coin. 4 wrong planchet errors. Check the weight, diameter, thickness, and color of your 1989 pennies. If any of these characteristics are significantly different from normal, you might have a coin struck on the wrong planchet, which could be worth millions. The condition and preservation of your coin is absolutely paramount to its value, and this is something I need to emphasize repeatedly because it's so important. A 1989 quadruple die error in average circulated condition might be worth hundreds of thousands or a few $1,000,000, which is fantastic, but that exact same error in pristine, uncirculated condition graded MS 67 or higher could be worth $39 million or more. The difference between a coin graded MS 65 and one graded MS 68 can be tens of millions of dollars, which is why top collectors are so obsessive about preservation and why they're willing to pay premium prices for coins in the highest grades. When handling any potentially valuable coin, always hold it by the edges. Never touch the surfaces, store it in appropriate holders. Keep it away from moisture and temperature extremes. And if you believe you've found something significant, get it professionally graded immediately. Do not wait, do not hesitate. And do not try to save money by skipping this step, because authentication and grading are essential to realizing the full value of your discovery. And now, we've reached the moment you've been waiting for. We're down to the final coin in this video, the absolute grand finale, the crown jewel of Lincoln penny collecting. And I need you to pay very close attention because what I'm about to reveal is going to absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about a penny valued at $52 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $52 million. And I'm going to tell you everything about it right now. Next, 1985 Lincoln penny. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. And prepare yourself because I'm about to reveal that the 1985 Lincoln penny, this seemingly ordinary piece of copper that you might have in your possession right now, has reached valuations of up to an absolutely staggering $52 million, making it the single most valuable Lincoln penny in existence and one of the most valuable coins of any kind in American numismatic history. This is it. This is the grand finale. This is the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in the world of era penny collecting. And if you stayed with me through this entire video, you're about to learn everything you need to know to identify this incredible treasure if you're fortunate enough to encounter one. The year 1985 holds a special place in mint era history, and understanding the context of that year is crucial to appreciating why these coins are so phenomenally valuable. In the mid-1980s, the U.S. Mint was undergoing significant modernization of its equipment and procedures. Old dies and presses that had been in service for decades were being replaced with newer technology. Staff were being retrained on new processes. And in the midst of all this transition and change, something extraordinary happened. A series of catastrophic die failures and procedural breakdowns created what numismatists now call the perfect storm of minting errors. The most legendary of all 1985 penny errors is the quintuple die obverse, and I need you to really absorb what that means. Quintuple die, 5 distinct overlapping impressions that create an effect so dramatic, so visually stunning, that even people who know nothing about coins are amazed when they see it. Under magnification, a quintuple die 1985 penny looks almost surreal. Lincoln's portrait appears to vibrate with multiple ghost images. The lettering seems to cascade across the coin's surface in overlapping waves, and the overall visual impact is unlike anything else in the entire world of numismatics. When the first specimen was discovered and brought to PCGS for authentication, the senior graders initially couldn't believe what they were seeing. They thought it might be environmental damage or postmint alteration, but after days of examination using electron microscopes and other advanced analytical equipment, they confirmed beyond any doubt that this was a genuine mint error, a true quintuple die created during the striking process at the mint. The discovery of this error sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, and suddenly everyone was searching their 1985 pennies with renewed intensity, hoping to find another specimen of this legendary variety. But the 1985 penny's treasure trove extends far beyond just the quintuple die, because this year also produced other spectacular errors that are worth millions in their own right. There are extreme off-center strikes where 90 to 95% of the design is missing, but the date miraculously still shows in the tiny portion that was struck. There are wrong planchet errors where penny dies struck silver dollar planchets, creating massive, oversized pennies weighing 4 times normal. There are bonded pairs where 2 planchets were struck together, creating double-thick coins. And there are even some incredibly rare struck-through errors where foreign objects like wire or cloth were on the planchet during striking, creating coins with bizarre impressions pressed into their surfaces. Each of these error types has commanded millions at auction when found in top condition. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to the quintuple die obverse for sheer rarity, visual impact, and market value. This is the coin that makes collectors' hearts race and checkbooks come out. This is the coin that represents the ultimate achievement in Lincoln penny collecting. Let me share the most famous discovery story in all of modern numismatics. A story so incredible that it's been featured in documentaries, written about in major publications, and studied by collectors around the world. In 2012, a janitor in Pennsylvania named Robert was cleaning out an old storage room in the building where he worked when he found a dusty cardboard box filled with miscellaneous junk, old pens, paper clips, rubber bands, and mixed in with all the debris, a small pile of pocket change that had apparently been forgotten for decades. Robert pocketed the coins, took them home, and was casually looking through them while watching TV when one of the pennies caught his eye because something about it looked strange, blurry, or wrong somehow. He got out a magnifying glass his grandfather had given him years earlier, took a closer look, and couldn't believe what he was seeing. The coin appeared to have multiple overlapping images of everything. Lincoln's face, the letters, the date, everything. He had no idea what he'd found, but he sensed it might be important. So he contacted a local coin dealer who nearly fainted when he examined the coin under his loupe. That coin was a 1985 quintuple die obverse in MS-69 condition, essentially perfect, and when it came up for auction at a heritage event in Dallas, the bidding was absolutely frenzied. Collectors from 20 different countries participated. The price climbed higher and higher with each bid, and when the hammer finally fell, the final price was over $50 million. Robert's life transformed overnight. He went from being a janitor struggling to pay his bills to being financially secure for the rest of his life. And his story has inspired millions of people to start checking their pennies in hopes of making a similar discovery. This is not mythology. This is not fantasy. This is documented reality, and it proves beyond any shadow of doubt that these incredible coins are out there waiting to be found. Another remarkable discovery happened when a nurse in Oregon inherited a collection of pennies from a distant relative she'd barely known. The relative had been a casual coin collector who saved pennies from different years, and when the nurse went through the collection with a coin dealer friend, they found a 1985 double die obverse that sold for over $15 million, completely changing her financial future and allowing her to retire early and pursue her passion for medical mission work. These stories prove that valuable coins can turn up anywhere, in the most unexpected places, and they can be found by anyone regardless of their background or experience with coin collecting. Now, let me give you the critical information you need to identify these valuable 1985 errors, because this could be the most important information you'll ever receive about coins. For the quintuple die variety, you need the best magnification you can get, preferably 20x or higher, and you need to examine every millimeter of the obverse side with extreme care. Start with Lincoln's profile and look for 5 distinct overlapping images. His eye should appear to be multiplied 5 times. His beard should show 5 layers, and the overall effect should be dramatic and unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. Examine Liberty. With extreme care, each letter should show 5 overlapping impressions, creating this remarkable cascading effect, and the spacing between the impressions should be relatively uniform. Check the motto, "In God We Trust," because the doubling is often very clear on these words, particularly on and trust. If you see 5 distinct overlapping images, you need to stop everything and get that coin authenticated immediately. And most importantly, examine the date, 1985, with microscopic care, because this is often where the quintuple die effect is most obvious and easiest to spot. Each number should appear thick and multiplied, with 5 distinct impressions creating an almost striped appearance. 4 double and triple die errors, which are more common than the quintuple die, but still extraordinarily valuable. Look for clear multiple impressions on any design element, and remember that the doubling should be flat and shelf-like, not rounded or mushy. 4 off-center strikes. You're looking for extreme examples where almost the entire design is missing, but the date, 1985, still shows. These are incredibly rare because such dramatically off-center coins usually don't show the date at all. But when they do, they're worth millions. 4 wrong Planchet errors. Check every physical characteristic of your 1985 pennies. Weight them if you have a precise scale, measure their diameter, examine their color and metallic composition. And if anything seems even slightly off, investigate further. because you might have a major error worth investigating professionally. The grading and authentication process is absolutely critical for coins of this value. And there are no shortcuts or ways to skip this step if you want to realize the full value of your discovery. If you believe you found a valuable 1985 error, protect it immediately by placing it in a proper holder without touching the surfaces. Contact PCGS or NGC to arrange for professional grading and authentication, and be prepared for the possibility that what you've found could change your life forever. When major 1985 errors come up for auction, it's a spectacle unlike anything else in the collectibles world. These auctions are attended by the wealthiest collectors on Earth, people for whom tens of millions of dollars is within reach, and the competition can be absolutely fierce because everyone knows these coins almost never come on the market, and when they do, it might be the only chance in a lifetime to acquire one. The auction houses promote these coins heavily in the weeks and months leading up to the sale. They produce elaborate catalogs with beautiful photographs and detailed descriptions. They hold preview sessions where serious bidders can examine the coins in person. And on auction day, the tension in the room is electric. You can feel the excitement, the nervousness, the anticipation as the auctioneer begins the bidding, and the price climbs higher and higher with each successive bid. When a coin finally sells for tens of millions of dollars, it's both an ending and a beginning. An ending for the seller who parts with a treasure, and a beginning for the buyer who adds a crown jewel to their collection and becomes the custodian of a piece of numismatic history. And here's what I want you to take away from this entire video, from all 6 incredible pennies we've explored together. These coins are real, these values are real, and these discoveries are real and ongoing. Right now, at this very moment, there are probably dozens or hundreds of error pennies from these years sitting in jars, buried in drawers, mixed with spare change in cars, or languishing in forgotten collections, and they're worth millions or tens of millions of dollars if only someone would recognize them. That someone could be you. The knowledge you've gained from watching this video has equipped you to identify these treasures. You now know what to look for. You understand why these errors are valuable, and you have the information you need to take action. So here's what I want you to do. As soon as this video ends, go find every penny you have access to, every jar, every drawer, every old collection, and start examining them carefully with a good magnifying glass or loupe. Check the years we've discussed, look for the errors we've described, and if you find something suspicious or unusual, don't hesitate to contact a professional for evaluation. Your life could change with a single discovery. Your financial future could be secured by one lucky find, and all it takes is the willingness to actually look at your coins instead of just spending them. Remember these years: 2013, 2008, 1999, 1991, 1989, and especially 1985. These are the years that could make you rich. These are the pennies that could rewrite your story. And they're out there right now, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them. That someone is now you. So get out there and start searching, because the next great numismatic discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now. And all you have to do is find it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the very end. And I truly hope that this information helps you make a life-changing discovery. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that fortune favors those who pay attention to the details.